It's such a privilege for Brother Strat Goodhue is with me. We both work with this ministry called Serve India Ministries, which is a church planting ministry in India. We work among the Hindus and the Muslims, especially in the rural areas of India. We work with native pastors who have no affiliation with anybody. They're independent, they are untrained, they are uncared for. Nevertheless, they're faithful in witnessing to their kith and kin, their fellow villagers, people that belong to their caste group or their tribal group, typical native pastors. We work with them, equip them, give them mentoring help, hold them accountable, and help them with a little bit of financial support. And we encourage each one of them to plant 5 churches. Typically per area we work with a group of 20 of them, and we help each one of them. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but basically that's our ministry. It's a church planting ministry. I'll quickly share a story with you about one of those pastors. This happened 10 years ago. 10 years ago was when we started this ministry. The Lord gave me the vision, and prior to that I had been working with different ministries in India. I've been a missionary since age 19 for almost 37 years now. This was 10 years ago. The Lord gave me a vision for what I'm doing, and when I started this ministry, we raised this one native missionary up in North India, and he had a burden for his own people, something like 2 million people that speak his language, and he had a burden for them. So he goes there and he starts working in the villages, passing out gospel tracts, going door to door, praying for people and telling them about Jesus, showing them Jesus film, etc. Now, one morning at about 6 o'clock, very early in the morning, there was a knock on his door. So he opened the door and he saw this tall and evil-looking man waiting for him. Asked him who he was. The man said, "I'm a robber." A thief, knocking on the door and waiting for permission to enter the house. He's 1 in a million, I think. Others would break open the door. He had a story, and this man started to say something like this. He said, a few weeks ago you were passing out gospel tracts at the marketplace, and I was in the midst of the crowd, and you may not have noticed me. I got one of your gospel tracts and I started to read it, and when I started to read it, I actually got very angry with you. As soon as I realized that this was about your God, Jesus Christ, I became angry. I wanted to come and hurt you. But at that point of time, a strange kind of power overcame me and made me read the gospel tract over and over and over again. When I read it the 10th time, I knew I was a Christian. And I'm here to ask you today, what is next? What should I be doing? Now, that's only half the story. The missionary started a Bible study for this man and his family. It happened every day at 6 o'clock in the morning at their house. And they started to read the Bible. This was the very first Bible study the missionary was able to start, and he was very excited about it. Now, 2 weeks would go by, and one day a stranger shows up at the Bible study. And this man was asking a question as he was walking in the door. And this was his question: is there someone here who's talking about God? The missionary said, yeah, we're talking about God out of this book, the Bible. Do you want to hear? The man said, I've not come here to hear about God, but I'm here to make a request of you. My cousin, who lives in a village 10 miles away, saw a dream 2 weeks ago, and in the dream, he was asked to send for somebody from this village who would go and tell him about the one and only true God. So if you are that person, please go ahead and meet with my cousin. He's the one who wants to hear about the one and only true God. So the missionary went there, and he saw 25 people waiting for him. They didn't need much persuasion. They heard the gospel. They said, "We are on board." They accepted Christ as a personal Savior, and there was a church born. You know, that's God. That's how God works in India. I want you to know that. And He has a reason for that. He knows the need. He knows about the need. When 1.3 billion people, 4 times the population of the United States, are outside the fold, and they're waiting for the gospel for the last 2,000 years, God understands the need. And this is how He works. A huge population, 950 million of them call themselves Hindus. They worship 33 million gods and goddesses. That's the number of gods and goddesses on the pantheon. You know, if anything, they're very religious. Too religious. You know. I like them more than the people on the West Coast here. You know, at least they worship some God. You know, I don't agree with those gods, but, you know, they're religious people. They're seeking. And that represents to me a deep spiritual need. And I want to respond to that. And I want to make it a priority. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And among this 1.3 billion people, 150 million are Muslims. Did you know that? We are the second largest Muslim nation in the world. And imagine having that many Muslims in one place. You know, what an opportunity. What an opportunity to reach out to that many Muslims. There are more Muslims in India than in all the countries in the Middle East put together. Praise God. I see that as a great opportunity, a great need. Now, I'm not simply talking about making all the Hindus into Christians, just, you know, something like changing the tag, you know, the name tag. No. I'm more concerned about the situation there, the situation of poverty. More than 300 million people among them live below the poverty line. Living up below the poverty line means that you're living on $2 a day. Abject poverty, even in this day and age. And about 100 million of them are in what is called as the outcast box. You are born into a certain caste, which is called the outcast or the low caste, and you don't lose it. That's your DNA. Now what it means, really, what does it mean? How is it that it is bad? I don't think it's bad. You know, I think all human beings are the same. But in India, the Hindus who created the caste system, they look upon it as something really bad, because according to their theology, those people are bound for hell. There's no salvation, even in Hinduism, for them. Just because they were born into the box, they're all going to hell. So they're less than nothing. They're trash. There's no hope for them. And so, things like this happen. A 55-year-old woman who needed water took her water part, and by mistake she happened to go into this district, which is the so-called high caste district. And she drew some water out of the well because she needed water. She was found out and she was lynched and killed. This didn't happen 2,000 years ago. It happened in this century. A woman and a daughter, by mistake, took the wrong route across this high caste district in the village. They were caught and pushed into fire. They got badly burned, and that was their punishment for making the mistake of straying by mistake, even by mistake, into the high caste district. Now that is Hinduism. Hinduism is not about yoga and transcendental meditation. I mean, that is totally a wrong perception, understanding of Hinduism. Hinduism in its core is just what I'm saying. 100 kilometers from where I live, a Hindu community does not want to have any girl children, no female children for them. So if they find out soon enough, they do feticide. They kill the baby. You would call it abortion. But if they're not fortunate enough to find out the gender of the baby, they wait until the baby is born, and when the baby is born, if it is a girl baby, the mother-in-law just secretly smuggles out the child and places the child in a bucket and puts water in the bucket and puts a lid on it, and gets rid of the baby. And there's no one has any qualms about it. No one asks any questions about it. That's how they get rid of the baby. Now, I'm not talking about bush people. These are normal people going to an IT company or to a factory or to a government office. But this is how they kill the children. Children are killed after they're born. And their religion has nothing to say against this. Because the basic premise is there's no sin. It is sin to call somebody a sinner. That's what some of these gurus are talking about these days. So that's the kind of need that we are talking about. Now I'm saying this to say that in the Bible, in the book of Esther, there was a situation, a very interesting situation, not very different from the kind of situation we are trying to describe or deal with in India. God's people, chosen people of God, were going to be killed on one single day. Haman didn't like them, so he got permission from the king to kill them. Esther's uncle, Mordecai, came to know about it, and he was very concerned. He sat in ashes and, he wore sackcloth, and he sent word to his niece. I'm going to speak mostly from the book of Esther today. So this is the first lesson we are learning. And Mordecai says, you cannot keep silent at a time like this. If you turn with me to Esther chapter 4 and look at verse 14, this is what we read there. Esther chapter 4, verse 14. If you remain completely silent at this time. Now, why would Mordecai say this? He had sent word to Esther, and Esther had sent a reply back to him saying, I'm afraid to die. I cannot stick my neck out. I may be the queen, but I cannot go into the presence of the king without his permission, without him inviting me. My people may be dying, all of them, but I'm going to continue to live and be the queen. And that's all I'm concerned about. I don't want to die. In effect, that's exactly what she was saying. Now, I would draw a lesson from this and apply this to us. I described the situation in India, and in some ways, you don't have a very different situation here in the United States with millions of babies being killed and people turning their backs on God and embracing a lot of godless lifestyles. And at a time like this, we cannot afford to remain silent. Esther decided to remain silent, and we think that was bad. But what's our situation? What's our reaction? What's our response? How do we handle the things that are around us, that are in our own country? You know, when I say our own country, I mean India, because that's where I live and work. And I'm bothered by the things that happens in the midst of all these pagan religions, even after 2,000 years of the cross. So, coming back to the scripture, Mordecai says, if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. Now, I don't want to threaten you with dire consequences if you don't bother to share the gospel with your neighbors. You know, we're saved by grace through faith, and we're all bound for heaven. But isn't it our responsibility? Just like Paul said about himself, "Woe unto me if I preach not the gospel." I'm under obligation to preach the gospel to everybody. Romans chapter 1, 14, 15, and 16. Right? That's why I have been brought to Christ. My humble request this evening is, through this message, God in His grace and mercy has brought us to Himself. It's our responsibility to go out and bring others to fill these pews, these chairs. It's as simple as that. And I see Indian native pastors doing that, and that's why I like to work with them. You know, 10 years ago, God gave me this vision. God opened my eyes to see how I had been working with different ministries since 1977 for almost 26, 27 years. And then in 2006, God said, I want you to do this. This was my second Damascus Road experience in my life. I said, what am I supposed to do? I was 49 going on 50 at that time. And I thought that I was going to retire and take it easy. But God said, no, you're not at the finishing line, you're at the starting line. You know, having qualified to do this, after all these years of ministry. I said, okay, what am I supposed to do? You know, God showed me how in India, in this particular time, all across India, especially in the rural areas, there are native pastors. Native pastors. When I say native, they belong in the culture, they belong in the caste group, they belong in the language. You know, they don't have to learn the language, they don't have to understand the culture because they already belong in there. These are first generation people. And then, you know, when they accepted Christ like 5-10 years ago, they were so passionate about Jesus Christ that they started to share the gospel, literally gossip the gospel in their own community, and ended up leading 10-20 people to Christ. Now, this guy who is not trained in anything, you know, not even educated, like third or fourth grade education, and lives in the village, and not affiliated with anyone. Nobody knows about him. He's not on anybody's radar. But, you know, he accepted Christ through radio or literature or some traveling evangelist. And he had been a Hindu forever, but now for the last 10 years, he's a Christian. And he's gossiping the gospel. And 10, 15, 20 people have accepted Christ. They look up to him for leadership. And he is your pastor, native pastor. Okay? Now, why am I wanting to relate to a person like that? Because I think he is the greatest strategy. He lives right where the action needs to happen. Because around him there are thousands of people in hundreds of villages without the knowledge of Jesus Christ even after 2,000 years of the cross. And this guy, who is already passionately sharing the gospel, if only I can come alongside him and equip and empower him right where he is at, then probably he will be able to bring a few hundreds of people to Christ. That's what God told me. You know, my eyes were open to see that possibility. Prior to that, I was part of a ministry that was following the conventional strategy of training people. You know, Bible college, you bring young people and train them forever, and then you send them out and you support them forever, and they go and plant churches, and that's how denominations sometimes happen, you know, all the rest of that. But God said, no, this is a different thing. You go there and you train them right there on the mission field, and while they're being trained, you can send them into the villages, so you don't have to even wait until they're all fully trained. They can continue the work right there and be bringing a lot of people to Christ. So this is exactly what we do. You know, we send out a trainer. So the Bible college now goes to the mission field in the form of an experienced trainer who goes and lives among these native pastors, he would gather typically up to 20 of them, and then, you know, he makes a relationship with them, shares with them, casts the vision, and then he offers to train them right there for 5 years. So imagine this in your mind's eye, 20 guys, they're already passionately sharing the gospel. Each one has brought 10, 20 people to Christ. Now, this experienced trainer lives among them for 5 years, training them in the Bible. Now, we take to India, we bring to India from here Calvary Chapel pastors who come and introduce to us how to study the Bible verse by verse, chapter by chapter, book by book, you know, and that's how I got introduced to some of the churches here, like Calvary Chapel Olympia. Pastor John Sane and, you know, Bill Dunning were with us to train a bunch of leaders. You know, we've had several bunches of pastors that have been to India to train our pastors, you know. So we train the leaders, and then the leaders go out and live among the pastors and train the pastors. So for 5 years, they're trained in the Word of God, and while they are under training, while they're being trained, each one of them is encouraged to adopt 5 or more villages, and they work in those villages, and they seek to plant churches during the 5-year period. Again, you know, just imagine the scene, 20 guys, each planting 5 churches in as many villages. And so 100 villages potentially can be reached in 5 years. And potentially, there could be 100 churches. Now, we don't want to become a denomination. We don't want to hold on to them and create a dependency. So right at the outset, we tell them, you know, you were already there. You know, we didn't make you, God made you. So we just came alongside you for a time to encourage you, empower you, equip you in the Bible and in the ministry-related things. So you go and plant churches. When you are done planting churches, we are going to go away and you're going to move on. So at the end of the 5-year period, we step back and we allowed them, give them the freedom to own the churches, the fruit of the labor, you know. And by then, since they will have been fully trained in the Word of God, they're able to take care of those churches and move on and do much more. That's how we're meeting the need. Now, I took the time to talk about the solution. I mentioned the need and I talked about the kind of solution because, you know, in Esther's time, going back to the Word of God, there had to be a solution. And that's why Mordecai was saying, Esther, please go to the king and talk to him on our behalf. And Esther was saying, no, I can't do that. And so Mordecai was saying, you cannot remain silent at a time like this. Who knows? You became a queen for such a time as this. I want to underline that and apply that to us immediately. You know, when God is doing big things, I told you that good story from India, and I described the scene there and how even now God has raised all these, you know, hundreds and hundreds of native pastors to reach out to the Indians that are still outside the fold, you know, and even here in the United States, you may see the work of God right here at your church in this congregation, and you want to get involved. That's the point. You want to get involved. Because you've been made, you've been called for such a time as this. That's the point I'm trying to make. That's lesson number 2. We cannot afford to be complacent. Lesson number 1. We want to get involved. Lesson number 2. Because we realize that we have been made, called for such a time as this. Now, in as much as I talk about India, I do not want to ignore the situation right here. And those of us who are called to be citizens of the kingdom of God, no matter where we are from, India or America, we are responsible to reach out to the lost. And if only we would be concerned, if only we would give ourselves to that priority of fulfilling the Great Commission in our time, we would be the true disciples of Jesus. And we would be participating in the Christ event, which started with the cross. I want to encourage us to do that. So, when Esther understood that, in verse 15, she says, okay, gather everybody, let everybody fast and pray. And me and my maids, we're going to fast and pray. And then I will go into the presence of the king with or without being invited. And finally she makes that beautiful statement, because of which Queen Esther is Esther to us even today. Even after thousands of years, we still talk about her, because she said, if I perish, I perish. Friends, ministry is not like just riding in a nice tour bus. Doing church like this is not, just enjoying a ride. A lot of people think that going to church is like enjoying a ride. The pastor is the driver, and every one of us can be reading a novel or looking out the window or fighting or whatever, I don't know if you do that or not here, but that happens in churches, But the actual point is, every one of us says, I've been called to this. I want to put my life on the line. I want to stick my neck out. If I perish, I perish. But my business is to bring those that are outside the fold into the fold. We're going to share a video with you quickly, and then Brother Strat is going to come and share a little bit and close out this session. But one little story, a 2-minute story. There was this guy that one of our pastors, I met with him, and he told me the story. He said, I was 16 years old. I had not walked since birth, because right after my birth, I was affected with polio. I could not walk. But somebody came to my village preaching the gospel for the very first time, and just by listening to what he said, I accepted Christ. But from the moment I accepted Christ, I began to be passionate about the gospel, about Christ. So I started to share in my own village. I could not walk. I was most of the time, now in this poor village, he didn't have access to a wheelchair. He was most of the time bed-bound. But he was sharing the gospel, led 30, 40 people to Christ. Now, as if that was not enough, he said, I want to have, the strength in my body, in my legs especially, to go to the villages all around me. He says, as he continued to cry out to God and be faithful in witnessing to his local community over the next 2 years, by the time he was 18 years old, the Lord strengthened his legs to where he began to walk. And he walked and walked and walked to 61 villages. And on the day he was meeting with me, this was the first day of his training, and he said, I'm here, it's a miracle. And I have a burden for 61 villages. Would you please train me? I said, that's what we are about. We will train you in the Bible. We'll give you the tools. We'll give you a little bit of money to support your travels. And you go and fulfill your vision in the 5 years that we are willing to partner with you. He has finished the training since, he's now on his own. Guess what he did? During those 5 years, he went to 32 villages out of the 61. Not just by himself. Out of the people that he gave in his own village, he trained 10 people to work alongside him. We trained him, he trained them. And together, they reached out to 32 villages. In 32 villages, they have little bit congregations. Small congregations. They're few people, but they have. These 32 villages have been waiting for the gospel since the beginning of time, but now they have Christians. There's no end to what God can do through people who would say, if I perish, I perish. Let's watch the video, and then Brother Stratt, our executive director of the ministry, will come and close this out by telling us how to get involved.
जहाँ पे मेरा घर था, जहाँ पे मैंने बचपन गुजारा था, ये शिमला का सबसे बुरा और सबसे बेकार इलाका समझा जाता है। मोहल्ले में 90% लोग इस इलाके में खासकर नशे की वजह से दुखी हैं। पुलिस यहाँ से डरती है, पुलिस डरती है इस इलाके से, ये पुलिस से नहीं डरते। सरकार भी इस एरिया को ब्लैक लिस्ट में गिनती है। मेरे पापा बहुत ड्रिंक करते थे, शराब पीते थे, नशा करते थे, घर में लड़ाई झगड़ा होता था। तो उस वक्त क्या हुआ कि मेरे घर में लड़ाई झगड़ा बढ़ने लगा। तो जब मैं 7 साल का, मेरे पापा जो थे वो घर छोड़ के चले गए। हम प्राइवेट जॉब करने लगे। मैं सुबह जाता था तड़के, ये कूड़ा कबाड़ और बोतलें, टीन टप्पर इकट्ठा करता था, गत्ते इकट्ठा करता था, फिर बेचता था। फिर उसके बाद मैं अखबार सुबह 4 बजे उठ के अखबार बांटता था, न्यूज़पेपर बांटता था। उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि अचानक मेरी मम्मी बीमार होने लगी और डॉक्टरों ने कहा उन्होंने कहा कि इनको ब्रेन ट्यूमर की प्रॉब्लम है। और उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि मैं और मेरी तीनों बहनें परेशान रहने लगे। परेशानी ये थी कि पहले हम गुरुद्वारे में जाते थे, फिर मम्मी की वजह से हमने मंदिर में जाना शुरू कर दिया और हमने सोचा चलो मुसलमानों को मानेंगे, पीरों को मानेंगे, चलो मम्मी ठीक हो जाएगी, मगर फिर भी फ़र्क नहीं पड़ा। तो पास्टर आए, पास्टर ने प्रार्थना की मम्मी के लिए और 3 महीने बाद मैं और मेरी बहन मम्मी को हॉस्पिटल लेके गए। कहता अब दवाई खाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि पूरा ब्रेन ट्यूमर और पूरे सिर की बीमारी ख़त्म हो गई। मुझे ये लगा जिस दिन मैं पहली बार चर्च गया और वहाँ पे मैंने प्रचार सुना, वहाँ पे उन्होंने यही कहा था कि परमेश्वर हमारा पिता है, परमेश्वर हमारा पिता है। और उन्होंने जब वचन पढ़ा, उन्होंने कहा कि जितने लोग यीशु मसीह पर विश्वास करते हैं, परमेश्वर उन्हें अपनी संतान होने का अधिकार देता है। तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि मेरे बाप ने तो मुझे छोड़ दिया, मगर एक नया बाप मिल गया जो दुनिया का बाप है। मेरे को इतना प्यार हो गया बाइबल से, बाइबल के वचन अच्छे लगने लगे। मुझे लगता था कि सबसे ज़्यादा बाइबल मैं पढूं। हमारे जीवन को बदलते हुए तो धीरे धीरे क्या हुआ कि हमने उनको यीशु मसीह का प्रचार करना शुरू किया, बाइबल का प्यार बताना शुरू किया, है ना। वो लोगों ने भी प्रभु के ऊपर विश्वास करना शुरू किया। और आज मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि इस इलाके में एक चर्च बन गई है और अब मुझे विश्वास है कि प्रभु इस चर्च को इन लोगों से भरेगा और ये एरिया प्रभु बदलेगा। इमीडिएटली मेरे मन में क्या आता है, जब भी मैं किसी को देखता हूँ ना, रास्ते में चलते हुए कोई शराब पी रहा है, तो इमीडिएटली मेरे को डैडी याद आता है, मेरा पापा याद आता है। फिर मैं एकदम जीसस से जुड़ जाता हूँ। प्रभु इसको तो बदल दे यार, मेरा पापा छोड़ गया कहीं ये ना छोड़ जाए। तो एकदम मतलब कि किसी घर को लड़ाई झगड़ा देखता हूँ, फिर एकदम प्रार्थना मन में आती है, जीसस पापा तूने मेरे घर को बदला, इनको भी बदल दे। मगर जो अच्छी बात मेरे को लगी, इस टाइम जो लोग प्रभु ने मुझे चर्च में दिए हैं, उन्होंने शराबें छोड़ दी है ना, उन्होंने लड़ाई झगड़ा करना छोड़ दिया, घरों में प्यार आ गया। पास्टर एबनेजर शैमुल हमारी चर्च में आए, उन्होंने संडे को चर्च में प्रचार किया, प्रचार में ही अपने सर्व इंडिया मिनिस्ट्री के दर्शन शेयर किए। ये कहीं ना कहीं मेरे साथ मेरी इच्छा को पूरा कर रहा है। उसी कम्युनिटी का मैं भी एक हिस्सा हूं, मगर मेरे लिए ये लोग प्रभु के प्यारे हैं, क्योंकि प्रभु इनसे प्यार करते हैं। तो मैं कहीं और जाके खुशी नहीं, मेरे को पता है सबसे ज्यादा दुखी लोग इस इलाके में। मेरा दर्शन है कि प्रभु घर घर में चर्च हो, जिसमें खाली क्रॉस ना लगाओ, जिसके अंदर बाइबल रीडिंग हो रही हो, लोग एक दूसरे के लिए प्रार्थना करें, और एक घर अपने 4 पड़ोसियों को इकट्ठा करके, एक परिवार है, वहीं पे फेलोशिप करना शुरू करें। अपने दर्शन को बताना चाहता हूँ कि मेरा दर्शन है कि हिमाचल में ही 400 कलीसियां एस्टैब्लिश्ड हों गांव-गांव में।
Amen. Well, praise the Lord for what He's doing. And we just want to leave you with 2 things tonight. And, you know, I moved to Washington a couple of years ago to start a Calvary Chapel in Renton. And you know, God led my wife and I here clearly led us here. And at the same time, I know that God led me and my wife to become part of the ministry of Serve India, because God is doing such an amazing work. And I mean, He just clearly led me, but we don't have time for that story. But God gives us an opportunity not only to reach out to our neighbors, but to people in places like India, where hundreds and hundreds of millions of people have never heard the gospel. Many of them have never heard the name of Jesus for the first time in their lives. And we want to give you the opportunity tonight to link your lives with their lives. And I just want to encourage you to get serious about prayer. Pray for India. They need prayer more than anything. That's the best thing we can do for our neighbors, for people in India. And I want to give you the opportunity tonight to link your life with a national pastor and his family if he has one. All you have to do is go to the table on your way out and just fill out a card. It's $40 a month to support one of these pastors, and that support goes to pay for their training, gives them a little bit of money for travel so they can go to these different villages. It just makes it possible for them to be able to reach villages with the gospel. And instead of pastoring that one church, they're going to be planting 5 churches. So by partnering with, or 5 or more churches, some of them you heard this brother, 400 churches is his vision. He has such a passion. And these are brothers that are willing to be beaten and die for Christ if need be. But they want to share the gospel with their neighbors, and we can link our lives with them. $40 a month to support one. It's about $1, little more than $1 a day, the price of a cup of coffee and a donut. If you buy your coffee from Starbucks, you could support a small army of these national pastors, you know. But we wouldn't want you to do this because you feel guilty that you're an American and these poor Indians. We want you to think about, is this something the Lord wants you to do? Do you want to link your life with these brothers and sisters and impact many, many lives for eternity? I'm looking forward to standing in heaven and looking out and seeing thousands of people that are impacted through a pastor that I've sent. You know, you send these brothers and they plant a church, and more pastors are raised up and they plant churches. Within a few years, thousands of people are coming to Christ. And I consider it an incredible privilege, and if you consider it a privilege, we want to give you the opportunity to do that. You don't have to have any money with you to do this. I hear that us men need to be told things twice, so for us men, I'll say it again. You don't have to have any money with you to do this tonight. You just fill out the card and pick out your missionary, give us the card. and you take your missionary home with you. You don't have to have an extra room in your house for them. You just hang them up on your refrigerator or whatever and pray for them. You'll get updates once or twice a year letting you know what's happening through their ministry, and it's a way that we can connect our lives with the unreached hundreds of millions of people in India. We just want to give you that opportunity. A little bit of a couple of other resources we have. One is a prayer journal. It's 30 days of prayer. You go through it, has great ideas, stories from the mission field in India, and ways we can pray for them to help us really engage in praying for the lost. A lot of people have really been blessed by this. Love to give you one of these for free. Another thing we have is a video. DVD has a clip like when we watch tonight, has a number of other video clips as well. And we certainly appreciate your hearts, and thank you for letting us share with you, and God bless you, and may you be effective in reaching your neighbors and reaching the lost. And can we close in prayer?